Bean, because it's time for Nerdy for 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish things for 30-ish minutes. My name, Kevin Bauer, aka the Critic's Choice. With me, as always, the People's Champ, Tim Keck.
If you feel it, chase it, baby. What up, Fat Bears?
You gotta shout out to all the Fat Bears out there, because today we're talking Fat Bear Week. Now, as of recording, there's actually 2 hours left in Fat Bear Week. I figured we could record this one early. You know, the final vote, like the voting window ends at 9 p.m. Eastern. I think there's no way in hell that number 32 Chunk doesn't take it. So I think we can just kind of declare in advance number 32 Chunk the victor.
Really?
No question. Is there any part of you, first off, Tim, that thinks number 856, who does not have a name, takes out Chunk? Or are you agreed with me that number 32 Chunk is going to take this?
Let's see. I wanted to check out the bracket again real quick and see who 856 beat on the way in, because 856 did take out 128, who is a former champion, Grazer. That's big. That's heavy. Grazer's a champ. Won back-to-back 2023, 2024. She's got the nickname Grazer. Now we've got a no-name knocking her out. I feel like you got a lot of momentum. You take down the queen. You best not miss. And now we'll see if he misses. Coming up against Chunk.
Yeah, you know, a lot can happen here, but at the end of the day, if you look at these pictures, Chunk is just the fattest bear that I'm looking at here. And listener, just in case you're not looking at what we are looking at, let's give you a little bit of background on Fat Bear Week. Now, Fat Bear Week is something that came into my life because of my sister. She gave me the heads up on this. It's a delightful, fun thing that happens every year where the fine folks down at Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska kind of give people a reason to get interested in nature conservation by highlighting just how much weight bears put on. It's going to be slowly burning through these calories. It's completely insane to think about the fact that bears can gain this much weight off of pretty much just salmon in preparation for hibernation. But then it's also completely insane that they get to just sleep for months on end and let the winter pass by. So Fat Bear Week is a nice way to celebrate that. They create a bracket where people can go online, fill out a bracket, look at the pictures of bears, where they started versus how much weight they've been able to gain, and vote for who they think is the fattest bear of all. You got anything to add, Tim?
You know, I do think there is part of a factor in 856's appeal is that they do show the before and quote unquote the after photos of these guys. And the before for 856 is in June 26th. The before for Chunk is July 14th.
Yeah.
So I think Chunk or 856 has an inherent advantage that he looks even smaller in the before picture.
That's the thing,
I think that contrast might be what's pushing him through the rankings and winning over the people. You know,
I think you could be right. It's a question of two things. So they do give you a before and after for all these bears when you're voting. All the bears are numbered, and then they have, based on the bears that they track throughout this national park. And then they also, some of them have a nickname. So like number 32 is Chunk. And when you're looking at this, it's a question of just how much weight you think Chunk was able to gain in that like 2.5 week window. So this is not necessarily apples to apples, because for all we know, maybe Chunk was just as skinny as 856 was here. But if you're looking at this, man, 856, the before picture, that is a scrawny bear. And
scrawny.
The after for 32 is incredible. Frankly, it's bigger than I knew that a bear could get. And
yeah,
I mean, this thing is a fucking unit. This is an absolute unit.
An absolute chunk.
Absolute chunk.
What role do you think, I think what comes to mind when I think Fat Bear Week and competition and the intensity that comes with it, figure skating often comes to mind. Where
it's an easy comparison.
It's an easy comparison where the athletic feats are important, dare I say, essential in the sport, and yet the visual component and the things that you don't normally associate with the sport, like the presentation, often have a huge impact on the outcome. Chunk, one ugly looking dude. You know, his tongue is out in both of these pictures, got a big scar in his head. If you told me he was blind, I'd believe it. There's no light behind those eyes. 856. My God. You have a teddy bear growing up. That's 856 is the one I want to be cuddling. If you give me two stuffed animals, one that looks like Chunk, one that looks like 856, I'm burning one and I'm hugging the other.
It is such a picturesque bear. Maybe that is part of the reason that A56 has taken this. You're so right. This thing is delightful looking. It looks like it might be, a friendly bear you would encounter at some point in
Yeah.
your travels. It might be some kind of a magic user in a D&D context using wild shape. Tim, this could
Yes.
be an Animorph. For all we know, this is Rachel from Animorphs right here.
This could be
And
Rachel from Animorphs. And if Chunk comes by your camp, you're like, fuck, get in the car.
no, yeah, Chunk
Lock the
Chunk has a
doors.
scar on its nose that looks like it might glow red when Chunk gets angry. Like Chunk looks like the kind of thing that's gonna be like attacking tents in the dark of the night. And there's Russian legends about Chunk.
Yeah, Chunk looks like he got slashed across the face in like a game of cards that went south with the wrong dudes.
Yeah. Chunk has hinch bears, dude. Chunk has other bears.
Chunk probably is a hinch bear.
He was a hinch bear, but then he played his cards right, like the fucking penguin in the TV series, and now he's the one leading it.
Now he's the one calling the shots, or at least he wants to be the one to call the shots. I thought we could go back on the history, the Fat Bear Week Hall of Champions, and maybe talk about the history of the sport a little bit. Before hitting into some of these, the highlights, some incidents from the sport from people who aren't familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. And, if you're listening and you're somehow on the fence as to whether or not to keep listening, there are some major highlights to hit. And I think you're going to like hearing that. Tim, take us through some of the history of FB dubs.
The controversies are controversial, and you're controversial, whatever it is, you're going to want to stick around for it. Universally. So the first Bear Week takes place in 2014. It's a one-day event, and the people choose, I think, the Michael Jordan of the sport in 480, aka Otis. A king amongst kings, a bear amongst bears. He's just got what it takes, and in the one-day event, he grabs it all. 2015, they finally elevate it. The first Fat Bear Tuesday, the tournament was expanded across a full week in 2015. And that's when we get, 409 Bead Nose coming up. That's a name you'll hear again. Otis comes back in 2016, 2017, back-to-back championships.
Insane.
He takes it home 2016, 2017. He beats Holly in one, and then he takes out 747, who is a rising up-and-comer in the sport, for sure. I think it speaks to his willpower. The first one, if he just won in 2014 and went away, you'd be thinking this is a flash in the pan. Mm-hmm. He's the Ronda Rousey of the sport, where he kickstarts it and inspires other people who are better at it to take over. But no, he comes back and proves that he can. He's still got the game to back it up. 2018, Bead Nose finally takes it. Bead Nose, 2015, he won. He loses out to Otis 2 years, and he comes back with a roar. 2018, prevailing over 747. Again, another name you're going to hear in a while. 747, rising up and comer. Still trying to make it in the sport, trying to come up on top. 2019, we get Holly, 435. She beats 775 Lefty to become the first Fat Bear Week champion that is not Otis or Bead Nose. Holly really
crazy.
just shaking
Holly's
it up.
in contention back in like 2015, 2016, right? Like Holly's up there.
Holly is made it to the finals in 2016 and has been in and around the championship for years. But really, you look at the first 5 years of the sport, dominated by two bears. It's a two-bear race, Otis and Bead Nose. Holly comes in as the real disruptor and mixes it up. 2020, we get 747. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. 2020 is 747's year. He comes in big. And then what I think solidifies our Michael Jordan of the bear world, 2021, 480 Otis comes back to reclaim his crown. All the way back in
Crazy.
2014, he won. He won back to back to prove he could. He let some other Bears get in there. Then he got back in the factory, worked on himself. 2021, he comes in with an easy defeat over 151 Walker.
This is LeBron James right here. So I think you can notice a lot of parallels between the NBA and Fat Bear Week. I think they're really, as sports, as competitions, they do tend to be in conversation with each other. So I think what you're seeing there is, yeah, you're seeing, this comeback. Otis, a lot of people think too old, but when you look at it, like just really put the work in, and you cannot deny that when it comes to being the fattest bear in this park, Otis is he just has the goods. It's just a generational bear.
Otis has the goods. Holly, I was thinking, as a disruptor, that's probably like a Dirk Nowitzki ring, where just been around a long time, clearly a Hall of Famer, but
Sure.
never quite got over the hurdle. And yet in 2019, she does as a huge standout, breaking up the dynamic duo of Otis and Beadnose. 747 comes back right after Otis. 2022, 747, another one, always in the hunt, always hanging around. Can't put him away for long. 2022, he comes back. 2023,
Kind of a Kawhi, if you will.
A Kawhi for sure, I would say. A Kawhi. It feels like he's winning two different championships, two different cities, two different times, spread out a little bit, but still doing what he has to do to get it all done.
Also,
2023.
Insane that 747 is still Bear 747, and they have not applied the nickname Jumbo Jet. If you have a bear that's 747 and you don't call that thing Jumbo Jet, get the fuck out of town. All right, sorry, continue. 2023.
747 is the best number that is also a nickname. There just aren't any other goods.
Right, dude. I can't think of a better one.
747
Holy
is the best number. Doesn't even need a nickname, 747. It speaks for itself. And then Grazer, I think our first female champion, first mother bear to win the event, 2023, 2024.
Now, hold on.
Grazer.
Is Holly not a female bear?
Holly. Oh, you know what it is? I think Holly is the first female. Grazer is the first mama bear.
There we go.
Peta's fat bear. She's also the first mother bear to ever win the event. So I think between her 2023 championship and 2024, she had a cub, maybe a couple, who's counting?
Sure.
And still came back fatter than ever, ready to go. So if we're looking to today, 856, who is in contention, 856, AKA 856, knocked out Grazer, the former champion, on the way to this match. Grazer's won back-to-back. Grazer, who was looking for a three-peat, got all the heat in the world, all the momentum in the world. I think this is shaping up to be a great race, bud.
Incredible. I love it so much. It's great. And I'd love to see some of those cubs we mentioned eventually get featured in Fat Bear Jr. That is a parallel race that is run. We're not going to go too into the weeds on Fat Bear Jr. here. It's still something where the coverage isn't necessarily there. We don't have enough stats on these bears. They're young, let them figure stuff out. And then once they get out of college and into normal regulation contention, that's where we'll start looking at them there.
Yeah.
I do want to highlight, so we talked a little bit about 2022, and I want to highlight some of the controversies that have plagued this sport over the years. In 2022, this is actually true. We're not messing around with this. There was a voter fraud conspiracy. During the semifinals of the 2022 event, Bear 435, known as Holly, initially appeared to defeat Bear 747 Jumbo Jet. An investigation by park officials found that Holly had received 9,000 votes in a short span of time. After fake votes were discarded, Bear 747 was determined the winner. Incredible. Like, people are out here actually trying to cheat 9,000 fraudulent votes for Holly. Do you think that mars the legacy for Holly? Do you think Holly was in on this? Do you think that there's some kind of a fix? Is someone trying to rig it so that Holly could be a back-to-back champion? What are you thinking there?
There's definitely a Mark McGuire-esque asterisk next to Holly's name, right? She does have the championship. She does have the win. I would argue it's a big one for her legacy. It was inspiring. It inspired all of us, a la Lance Armstrong. And then you find out that actually she's been juicing the whole time. She's been juicing her votes. Was she juicing back then? I don't think so. I think it was a genuine win. And I think her legacy would have been intact without it. I don't think she needed to stoop down to such lows, but you got to do what you can for that bag. Her Nike contract was coming up to an end, and it's a shame. It's a real shame what happened. But ultimately, I think 747 deserved the win, and that's what he got.
No
That's
question.
what he got. You hate to see that moment taken away, though, because you want that announcement to be the best feeling in the world that Bear's ever heard. Right.
Sure.
And to hear someone else's name come out, even if after the fight is over and the seats are empty and people are going home, they actually say, oh, actually, so-and-so won. You want your hand held up in the ring.
Sure.
And so Holly deprived 747 of that, which I think is definitely a knock on her legacy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not fun. It's a rare pockmark on such a great sport. And you mentioned the contracts here, Tim. I just got two things I want to talk about there. Number one, not a lot of people realize that Nike contracts for fat bears are actually worth double what they tend to be worth for basketball players, because of course there are 4 feet, so 2 pairs of shoes per bear. They're getting featured there. Other thing I want to mention,
the Bears have to do twice as much work
they do
as a human athlete would in those Nikes.
Mm-hmm. Other thing I want to mention there is that if Nike launched a pair of Nike 747s that were theoretically shoes for bears, I would be on it. I would be on it, dude.
Oh, the Otis Classics.
Oh my God. Get the fuck out. Yeah, Otis Classic high tops. There's like there's no arch support. It's just flat rubber, but it's what they played in back in the day.
They're all way too wide.
They're so wide.
Way too wide. There's there's 5 little slashes over each of the toes.
Oh my God, that's so fucking funny. Oh, God damn it. I love that so much. I want to design these. I don't want to use AI to do it. I want to have the fun of designing what these things should look like. That's incredible. There's another incredible thing. So there were wild situations that happened in 2023 and 2024 as well in real life. So far, nothing's happened in 2025. I'm not going to knock on wood because this is kind of sick, and I wish that there was some kind of controversy every year. 2023, a hiker was rescued. One of the webcams they use, so you can, if you go onto the Fat Bear Week website, there's live cams you can watch to see these bears, catching fish and eating them. One of the webcams they used caught a hiker. A visibly cold and soaked hiker appeared in the webcam frame on Dumpling Mountain, fucking god tier mountain name, seeking help. After viewers notified authorities, park rangers found the hiker near the camera. So they were able to get to this hiker in 3.5 hours, which, by the way, a hiker stranded, cold, wet, and lost in bear country. They put these webcams up because of how hungry the bears are in that area. Incredible. This woman was rescued.
Incredible. That she made it out of there okay. I mean, hopefully at that point, you could speculate that the bears were already too fat to really do anything to her.
Sure. One would
They
hope.
reached a roly-poly stage that was really just good for hibernating and, keeping the head down. But I don't know. Would you rather, if you're out in the wild, would you rather encounter a fat bear or a skinny bear?
Oh, fuck. You know what?
You want a July bear or do you want a September bear?
I want a September bear for sure. Cause yeah, I feel like the odds are lower that it's still going to be hungry. July bear, I'm looking at the early pictures of 32 and 856. I don't want to encounter either of them.
No.
That's a bear
Lean
with something to
bodies,
prove.
probably fast as hell.
That's the thing. Yeah. They're not
Desperate?
rolling for shit.
No, 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 no. They're not bulking yet, and they're ready to start, and they could start with you.
It is kind of insane that this is just a massive bulking and cutting exercise.
That is true. That's exactly what they do. Is they just bulk and then they cut, and they just get more and more jacked every year until they die.
God, I think we need to just for science, we need to pick one of these bears and give them creatine, and we need to see what happens.
We could just inject it into salmon and see what happens with that.
Oh my God. Well, then the salmon would get so jacked that the bears wouldn't be able to catch them.
I saw some video recently about bears catching salmon and how it's such a numbers game because they're just pulling salmon out of there.
Uh,
And it was basically about how they just eat the skin of the salmon. They basically just skin the salmon and then they catch another one and eat the skin again. And like the head, I think, just because they find them, that's the most nutrient rich part of the salmon. And so
huh.
they just go straight for that and they leave the rest. They're not even bothering with like, you know, the fish meat.
Yeah, but like, what are these things? What are they squeezing them out like bananas and banana peels? Like, are they
I think
just
so. I
biting
think they
on the
just
one
kind
end
of
of the
grab them with
salmon and
their
the rest
teeth and
shoots out?
just yeah, it's like opening a banana with your mouth.
That's
You just grab that
horrific.
peel and slide it off.
Oh God. That is kind of crazy that there's that much nutrition in there. I remember reading a thing about, I think, an Australian sailor who got swept out to sea deeper than their boat was able to handle. Like they were using like some kind of a boat. It was like a fishing boat made to be near shore, and it isn't able to like, I guess, fight the larger currents of the ocean in that area. So he ended up being stranded at sea for like a year. He had all of his fishing supplies, so he was able to no problem catch fish and live off that. And for water, drink the rainwater that he could collect in a tarp on the boat. So he survived. But as part of the nutrient deficiencies, at one point he developed crazy cravings for fish eyes. And it turns out fish
Mm.
eyes are a really good source of, I think, vitamin B and a couple other things. But it's insane how our bodies know on some level, like, it is associated whatever the thing is that it needs with the one time where he probably experimented and ate a fish eye. And then it got to the point where this guy's like, yeah, I was just catching fish and eating the eyes.
Yeah, it was like one hit, one time,
Yeah.
and now he's craving it.
Like I read a thing about cravings one time when I was in college where I was trying to eat less chocolate. And it was this guide that said if your body is craving this snack food, this is what it's actually craving. And the one for chocolate was magnesium. So it's like if your body's craving chocolate, it's actually craving magnesium. So what you should eat instead is dates. And I have tried it, and it has been a decent way to kind of like defuse the craving for chocolate.
But then you got
I've
to eat
also
dates.
You got to eat dates. And I've also found that sometimes my body's not craving magnesium. It is craving chocolate.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the magnesium to chocolate ratio is 1-to-1 because I take magnesium like every night and,
Mhm.
you know, still love chocolate.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I take chocolate every night and I don't even need to look at magnesium. We have another controversy to talk about from 2024. There was a
Yes.
bear attack. So this is just poor sportsmanship. You hate to see this. During the opening week of 2024 event, Bear 469, a male known as Patches, attacked a female, Bear 402, resulting in her death. This was witnessed live on the cameras in the national park. Park officials delayed the opening day of Fat Bear Week to host a live Q&A. A little bit of damage control. Park ranger noted the event was unusual. It's an uncommon thing to see a bear predating on another bear. It is not completely out of the question, so it's hard to say how this started. 469 had previously been seen guarding the remains of another bear in 2012. So I think this is just a bad bear. This is a problematic bear.
Yeah. I mean, I always question that when you say there's, it's just a bad apple. It's like, what is creating these bad apples?
Right.
Is the cask rotten?
Hmm.
Is there something in the carton that shouldn't be along with the other apples? What is turning them? And they did give a press conference and kind of own up to the fact that, hey, they're bears. We don't know what they're doing.
Right.
But I think people still want answers
Yeah,
and, you know,
absolutely.
release the list.
I think I think you do too, Tim. There's 100% chance that Bear Force 69 is on the Epstein list, and we just want answers.
We just want answers. We're just asking questions and we just want answers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good God. Tim, you got
Yeah.
any we actually have a couple pieces of mail. We have a few minutes left on here. Do you have any final comments and on this the penultimate hour of Fat Bear Week before the winner for 2025 is crowned?
I think like every year, the real winner is all of us. You got to watch these fat bears live their best lives, doing their thing. I mean, occasionally you get a real reminder that they are animals out there fighting and dying and living lives that we can't really fully appreciate or comprehend. But it's still nice. It's still nice to look at fat bears, Kevin. I don't know what could happen to this. I'm pessimistic about the future of this country, but God damn it, if I'm not going to take a little bit of time out of my week, Fat Bear Week, and look at some fat bears.
God
It
damn
just it's like they're taking on the weight of the world for us.
it. Yeah, they're consuming the weight of the world.
So I love them. God bless all
Uh,
the fat bears out there.
it's rare to see something come along that has a 100% approval rate in very trying times. Not since Ted Lasso's first season has something united the world like this. But it's amazing that Fat Bear Week is out there making it happen for all of us. So I just want to thank everybody out there at Katmai National Park. I'm dead serious. We came to it. We had this idea a little bit too late. I am dead fucking serious. We are doing a bracket challenge next year. We are going to reach out in advance, as far in advance as we can, to all of you, the listeners. We're going to give you a full season preview. I want to do a fantasy draft on this podcast, but at the very least, I want to do a bracket challenge with all of our listeners and have some kind of a Fat Bear Week related prize. I think if we reached out to Katmai, they might support it. It'd be sick.
Yeah.
At the very least, maybe we can get a t-shirt we can give for the winner.
Some type of a March Madness type bracket
Yeah.
to see how it
Oh,
goes.
God, it'd be a blast. All right.
Yeah.
That's it for Fat Bear Week 2025. Let's move on to the mailbag. First one comes from the
Mailbag.
comment section on Spotify. Alex Barnes asks, why is it heaven and heck and not heaven and keck?
That's a good question, Kevin. Why isn't it heaven and heck? Why isn't it heaven and heck?
Well, I think I think the real explanation here is that you don't like keck. You don't want to go by keck. Like that's not how you want to be referred to by last name only. And
Oh
so
yeah,
we
that is the
avoided
thing.
calling the show Heaven and Heck with Kevin and Keck. And I want to go on record here and say I think that's completely valid.
Yeah, nobody calls me Keck. It's always Tim Keck.
Do you not? So, I mean, you were on a football team and stuff, and locker rooms were the place for bros calling bros by their last name only. Did you ever get called Keck? Do you have negative associations with being called Keck?
I don't have negative connotations with being called Keck. I feel like maybe I've had a football coach or something who just called me Keck. I think that is true. Like high school football, I got called Keck.
Mm-hmm.
Some sports stuff they called me Keck, and that's fine. But it's just I don't know. It just feels weird to be called by your last name. I mean, did you ever get Bauer?
Very rarely. So, I mean, I did not, I've never presented especially masculine. And so I wasn't on, I was never one of the jocks. And in junior high and high school, I had friend groups of guys, but nobody was especially like athletic or broy. And there did seem to be a pretty clear dividing line between myself and traditional American youth masculinity. And I didn't want that lifestyle, but I did want the kind of what I viewed as like I wanted the approval. Sue me, I was a kid. I wanted the approval of my peers. And so when the time did come that I guess started hanging out with guys that were more that had been a part of that world, um, I did like a little bit of athletic stuff and did start getting called Bauer. It always felt so fucking great, dude. It's like it's one of those things where like I even though I am not athletic, I started dressing a little bit more athletic and like wearing jerseys and stuff for the sports that I'd started getting into that I was never into as a kid. and had people that I met in college say to me at some point, like, "Oh, I just assumed that you were like really athletic." And truly, that like passing in that moment for being more masculine than I actually was, meant the fucking world to me. So I love it. If I get called Bauer, I love it. I bet the nickname for me in college was Cubauer, so it's close enough.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Now that they're saying it again, and I've had more time to think about it, I think I could do it. Maybe we'll do it. I'm open to it. I just feel like there are people who have last names. We know people where it's like you just call them by their last name.
Oh yeah,
It's
Breen.
just
Perfect
it's just who
example.
they are.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get a lot of Tim Cack. I get it at the
Yes.
same time. It's 2 syllables.
Yep.
People, I get hit with both in the full thing. People would be like, Kevin, Tim Cack. And so I guess I just associate that. I'm not used to hearing Keck by itself, but I could. I remember in high school we got like bags, like for wrestling or something, and like sports bags.
Yeah.
And my mom got me one, and they embroidered them, and mine said Tim on it. And I was like, why didn't you put Keck on it? And I guess I did have a friend of mine, Andy, who was on the team for a little bit, and his last name was also Keck. So maybe that was part of it. But I did think it was weird to be sent something like with just Tim on it.
That's really funny. That's really funny.
Right? It's weird. Like if you got
Damn.
a jersey and just put your first name on the back of it.
That's really good. I mean, it happens anytime somebody has like a last name that is also a first name. And it does always look funny. It looks like someone misunderstood how those work. It's weird that they didn't go with TCAC and ACAC.
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, it's weird because like if you buy a Diet Pepsi and it says your first name on it, that's cool. If
Yeah.
you buy a commemorative license plate or something like a tiny one, then it has your first name on it. That's cool. But then other things, I feel like there is a clear divide. I don't know what the line is, but there is a line where using your last name instead of your first name is the move.
Yeah, that's so strange. I'm thinking about like vanity plates. And if somebody had a vanity plate that said Kevin, it's so weird for some reason. It's like, yeah, this is my car. It's
But
something about it is just so icky.
yeah, Iron Man doesn't drive Tony 1.
Yeah.
It's Stark 1.
Oh, Tony Tech instead of Stark Tech.
Yeah,
Welcome to
weird.
Tony Enterprises.
Tim Corp.
Corp. They did kind of do that with LexCorp, didn't they? Yeah,
I guess
LexCorp.
they did.
Weird.
I guess it is that. Why is it Lex Corp and not Luthor Corp?
LexCorp. I mean, they changed it to Luthor Corp. I think that's actually the reason James Gunn gave is that he's like, people don't really do that in real life. It's usually going to be your last name. Huh.
It's Luthor Corp in the Superman movie.
Yeah. It's
That
Luthor
makes
Corp.
way more sense.
In
Doesn't
some
sound as
media,
good.
it'll be Luthor Corp. Yeah, it doesn't sound as good, but it does sound right, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
All right.
But if
we
you
got
know
one other
Lex
piece of
Luthor as
mail.
a friend, you're calling him Lex.
Oh, for sure. No question.
You think it's Alexander?
No way.
You think
No.
his legal name is just Lex?
I think his legal name is Alexander. Alexander. But I think, yeah, all his friends call him Lex. Or they
It'd just be
would if
funny
it
if
happened.
Superman saw him like just referred to him as Alexander.
Yeah, just
Use his full name. Use his
Alexander,
full
come on.
American name. Alexander, please stop doing this. Just
If it
be the
called
most.
him just Al or Alex.
Come on,
What are
Al.
you doing, Al? Just Alan Clark throwing it up. I was thinking about how weird it is that Superman and Captain America both have such archaic names. Clark and Steve. You know who's going to save the world? If it's not Clark, it's Steve. All right.
Those
We got
are
one more piece of mail
classic
here.
all-American names, it feels like.
All American. Speaking of All Americans, this next piece of mail comes to us from an All American. This is our pal Ben Ballarookie. Ben writes, advice needed. Dear Jim and Devin, as a parent, I'm obviously concerned about raising my child to be successful. What, on your liberal coastal elite opinions, would be the best traumas to impart to ensure their success in the arts? Also, what would be the method to execute said traumas?
I think I'd duct tape an iPad to their face
Right on the face.
Just right on the face, or glue it to their hands like Edward Scissorhands, but it's just iPads. It seems like
Oh, yeah.
that's maybe the controversial thing now, is that these kids zero attention span, right?
Sure.
Because they're always getting dopamine hits on their phones. As an adult with what I've been told is a fully developed brain, I have a hard time putting the phone down. You start scrolling, it's hard to give it up. I think a lot of parents are like, well, maybe no iPads for the kids. That's maybe the conversation. I think we should push it the other way. Let's push the boundaries. Let's enforce mandated constant iPad time.
Sure. Smoke the whole
Constant
pack
stimulation.
of cigarettes. The very
Yes.
the Breakfast Club strategy.
Yes. And then maybe your child, if you're really interested in them being an artist, could push through that to whatever is beyond. I don't know. I don't have the artistic chops to describe it, but I would like a window into that world of being so constantly loaded with dopamine that where do you get dopamine from after that?
Yeah.
Where does it
sure.
come from? What is
that's
art
the
in that
thing,
person's world?
That's the thing, is if they don't push through, they weren't going to be a good artist in the first place, because it's the act of being able to push through that's going to make you an artist. Similarly, another thing you could do, the desire for the appreciation of your peers. I just mentioned it, that trying to get that approval from people that were more mainstream growing up, like more stereotypically your American youth, your football players, your cheerleaders. I needed their approval, and that's what drove me to comedy, is because I wasn't getting that approval with anything else. You know, my love of Pokemon wasn't getting me that, not from them.
What if you only referred to your kid as their last name and then
Wow.
only used their first name when they did something good?
Wait, oh no, you'd want to do the reverse, right? You would want to use their last name when they did something good.
I feel like referring to them by their last name is standoffish. You know, like a coach does that.
Uh-huh.
It feels like, you know, you're a coach and they're a player, and then they earn the right to go by their first name.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Sure. You could also say that they have to call you coach until they earn it. I think that's one that we can
coach.
both agree on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just like, you
No
don't get
mom,
to
no
call me
dad.
dad. Like let them call you dad if they hit certain goals. I think the point is that kids are malleable,
Mhm.
and we should be experimenting
Yeah.
with raising them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
In a
how
safe,
many
loving
billion
home.
people? Yeah. You know, just because your home is safe and loving doesn't mean you can't experiment a little. Just try some stuff out. Like, kids are like sponges. And you know what's great about sponges? You can, if you got weird water in there, you can just squeeze out the sponge, fill that sponge up again. So if it ever
Yeah.
gets too weird, you can just you can talk them out of it.
Yeah. Feed them beets every meal and see what that does.
Yeah. But it can't do anything that bad. Beets are great for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we got for today. If you have questions like Ben and Alex, send them through to our email, nerdy430@gmail.com, or comment them on this episode on Spotify. We'll read them next time. We'll be back here next week talking about Marvel Zombies. Thanks for listening, everybody. And until next week, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.